From The Australian, here's what's on the front. I'm Claire Harvey. It's Tuesday, July 22, 2025. Cheaper doctors' visits helped get Anthony Albanese re-elected, but his own health department says nearly a quarter of GPs are unlikely to take up the bulk billing incentive. That story, plus all our coverage of what's shaping up as a rip-roaring return to federal parliament, is live now at theaustralian.com.au. The fallout from the Bruce Lehrmann, Brittany Higgins matter just keeps on coming. Now it's one of Australia's most famous former judges fighting for his reputation and his professional life. Today, Walter Sofronoff's federal court appeal against corruption findings. It's one of those criminal cases Australians have never been able to forget.
The hunt for Allison Baden-Clay has intensified, with police now searching industrial garbage bins for evidence.
The 2012 disappearance of Brisbane mother Allison Baden-Clay, an executive, a devoted mum of 3 little girls.
Thank you. Police emergency. What's your location?
Good morning, Brookfield.
Whereabouts in Brookfield?
One Friday morning, her husband Jared rang 000 to say he was worried.
And what's happening there?
I don't want to be alarmist. I tried the 131 number, but just went on forever.
Yep.
My wife isn't home. And I don't know where she is.
Okay. When did you last see her?
He spoke to the journalists who'd flocked to his front yard.
I'm trying to look after my children at the moment. They've got 3 young girls, and we really trust that the police are doing everything they can to find my wife, and we just hope that she'll come home soon.
You can guess what came next.
A body's been found in the search for missing Brisbane woman Allison Baden-Clay. A canoeist made the grim...
Jared Baden-Clay was charged with murder and convicted after the jury was told he had fingernail scratches on his face and shown evidence he was having an affair. But Jared Baden-Clay successfully appealed to the Queensland Court of Appeal. It downgraded his conviction from murder to manslaughter, accepting it was possible Allison died accidentally during a violent fight with her husband. It was a crisis for the justice system. A guilty man let off the hook.
Allison Baden-Clay's family and friends have asked supporters to join them in showing their anger and sadness over the decision.
Then an eminent lawyer put his hand up to take the case to the High Court. Walter Sofronoff KC, whose career had ranged across the criminal defence bar and a stint as Queensland's Solicitor General. He was famous in media circles for being a lawyer who was happy to talk to journos and believed the press had a strong role to play in open justice. Full disclosure here, like many journalists, I've dealt with Sofronoff over the years. Sofronoff was successful in the Baden-Clay case. He convinced the justices of the High Court to restore Jared Baden-Clay's conviction for brutally murdering his wife. He charged Queensland taxpayers a nominal fee, a few $100s, instead of the tens of thousands a senior silk like him could have got for running such a case. Here's Sofronoff talking to the Rule of Law Centre, a non-profit, about that case.
Why would he lie? He would only lie if he was awake at 1:30 when that phone was charged. Therefore, he did not go to bed at 9. Therefore, he did not leave her there and not know what happened to her. Therefore, he knows what happened to her. Therefore, he got rid of the body. And if he got rid of the body, then he killed her.
That sent Sofronoff into the legal stratosphere. He became president of the Queensland Court of Appeal and later became a judge of choice for Royal Commission type work, including the inquiry into the Grantham floods and into Queensland's disastrous DNA laboratory.
I was astounded at what I found. We found some very, very disturbing and troubling things that were happening in the DNA laboratory.
Then came the legal drama that has sprawled across state and territory boundaries and jurisdictions, from criminal to civil law, sexual assault to defamation and beyond. It's Brittany Higgins and Bruce Lehrmann, the young political staffers whose encounter one night in 2019 at Federal Parliament in Canberra resulted in Lehrmann being found by the federal court to have, on the balance of probabilities, sexually assaulted Higgins. Before that, there'd been a criminal trial where Lehrmann, who's always pleaded not guilty, had been charged and tried for rape, but not convicted after a jury was discharged thanks to what the presiding judge in the ACT Supreme Court said was misconduct by one jury member. Lehrmann was not tried again, and while that case spiralled off into a defamation proceeding between Lehrmann and Network 10, which 10 ultimately won, the ACT Supreme Court matter took on a life of its own. The ACT government commissioned, guess who, Walter Sofronoff, to inquire into the charging and prosecution of Lehrmann. In 2023, Sofronoff found that the ACT's Director of Public Prosecutions, Shane Drumgold, had misled the court and failed to live up to his obligations to disclose material to Lehrmann's lawyers. Drumgold, who had retired as DPP, vehemently denied all this and successfully challenged the Sofronoff report, accusing the Commissioner of bias against him. The ACT Supreme Court found Sofronoff had communicated during the hearings with journalists, including the Australian's own Janet Albrechtsen, and given them advance copies of his findings. The court said this gave rise to an apprehension Sofronoff's findings against Drumgold might have been biased. Here's what Janet Albrechtsen has written about that. We've used a voice actor.
Unlike many other media outlets, I put many questions to Sofronoff before and during the inquiry to fully understand the issues, so we could fully explain serious issues about our criminal justice system to readers. If I ask more questions than other journalists, I make no apologies for that.
Later, the ACT Integrity Commission found Walter Sofronoff, the former hero of the bar, the rockstar commissioner, had engaged in serious corrupt conduct. Now Walter Sofronoff is fighting back in a federal court action against the ACT Integrity Commission's report. It's been a long road to court, including an unsuccessful attempt by the ACT government to have the case thrown out on the grounds the report was protected by parliamentary privilege. On Monday, the federal court heard a barrister for Sofronoff, Adam Pomeranki KC, argue that the Commission had no basis for finding Sofronoff's conduct to be corrupt at all. Here's a voice actor reading Pomeranki's words.
The finding of serious corrupt conduct is affected by jurisdictional error and therefore cannot stand.
Coming up, why Walter Sofronoff says the ACT Integrity Commission got it wrong. In court on Monday, Walter Sofronoff's lawyer argued the Integrity Commission made mistakes. Pomeranki said the watchdog misunderstood the definition of corruption.
Each individual error that we're able to prove is bound up in the rolled-up conclusions of serious corrupt conduct and cannot be disentangled.
And Pomeranki said the Integrity Commission was also wrong about the legal definition of integrity.
It seriously dilutes and distorted the very notion of corruption. The Integrity Commission, on its proper construction, doesn't permit this basic misuse of language.
Pomeranki said the suggestion in the Operation Juno report from the Commission that Sofronoff had become a fellow traveller of Janet Albrechtsen was a stretch.
None of this looks remotely like the ordinary conception of corruption. Acting Justice Kay made no suggestion at all of actual bias. Fellow traveller is a meaningless slogan. What is it supposed to mean? Even if Mr. Sofronoff was wrong in his view, the fact remains that he genuinely and honestly held it. This is not a corrupt, dishonest or malicious motive. At worst, it could be characterised as an erroneous attempt to ensure accuracy and transparency in public discourse.
The ACT Integrity Commission is represented by Scott Robertson SC. You might remember him as the barrister who questioned former New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian before New South Wales ICAC when she was accused of serious corrupt conduct. On Monday, Robertson told the court Walter Sofronoff's submissions don't actually address the conduct the ACT Integrity Commission found to be corrupt. Robertson said giving out information during the proceedings constituted at least misbehaviour, and said giving out the final report
could not on any reasonable view be regarded as lawful, and no error has been demonstrated in the Commission's finding to the contrary.
Robertson said the Commission had acted within its remit.
Part of the purpose of an inquiry under this Act involves disclosing to the public matters of public concern, and so that might justify some of the communications with journalists during the course of the inquiry being on foot. What it doesn't justify in our submissions is the particular engagement referred to as the disclosure of the confidential matter.
The federal court hearing continues on Tuesday. For all the latest, visit theaustralian.com.au.